gentlemen, and tell me what you notice. I'm going to be like one of those guys that engagement trolls on Twitter. Look at this video. What do you notice? I was actually just doing this to make sure I was on the right mic. Let's get the show started, shall we? But seriously, look at him and tell me what you notice.
So back down here at the border, Tijuana, right behind me, San Diego sector, this is the San Ysidro port of entry, not too far away, which is the largest in the Western Hemisphere. We were just down here with the National Guard, meeting with customs agents as well as Border Patrol, talking about our partnerships. 390 National Guards men and women that have been working, particularly as it relates to fentanyl here in the state of California. Look at the bottom line. At the end of the day, they need more resources. Everybody needs more resources. And the Republican Party has been consistently standing in the way of providing the resources, the support for the men and women working hard, not only here at the border, but out throughout the state of California and this country to address the issues related to the border. It's time for them to stop playing politics. It's time for the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, to stop playing politics and do the right thing.
I was talking and I wasn't even in the screen. Can you appreciate what we're seeing right now? What we're witnessing from this man coming out of this man's mouth? First of all, spoiler alert, he looks like Joe Biden. And there's a reason for that. And I have put some money where my mouth is when it comes to that. We now have Gavin Newsom admitting there's a border problem, admitting there's a fentanyl problem at the border, and now complaining that the problem is lack of resources. Let's play this through one more time.
So back down here at the border, Tijuana.
So he looks like American Psycho, like he would eat your face. Like that's what he looks like. The raspy voice, that I get the heebie-jeebies looking at him, but I am told by people who know him well that he's actually quite a nice man.
Right behind me, San Diego sector, this is the San Ysidro port of entry.
What are we looking at behind you there, Gavin? Is it a wall? Is it a border wall? Oh, so there's a border wall. You need more resources. There's a fentanyl problem and a border crisis, but the Republicans are the ones holding it up. Those gosh darn racist Republicans who were racist when they said build the wall, they're the ones holding up border aid.
Not too far away, which is the largest in the Western Hemisphere. We were just down here with the National Guard, meeting with customs agents as well as Border Patrol, talking about our partnerships. 390 National Guards men and women that have been working, particularly as it relates to fentanyl here in the state of California.
Fentanyl problem here in the state of California. Problem resulting from the border. And it's 2024. And Trump was a racist in 2015 for saying, build the wall. He was actually blocked from building the wall.
Look at the bottom line. At the end of the day, they need more resources.
At the end of the day,
they need more resources. Look at the bottom line. At the end of the day, they need more resources. Everybody needs more resources. And the Republican Party has been consistently standing in the way of providing the resources, the support for the men and women working hard, not only here at the border, but out throughout the state of California and this country to address the issues related to the border. It's time for them to stop playing politics. It's time for the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, to stop playing politics and do the right thing.
Can you understand how pathological that is? They are the ones playing politics with the border as they have always done. And now they accuse the party who they accused of being racist for wanting to build the wall, who they impeded on in terms of building the wall. They are now saying they're the ones who are playing politics and holding up resources for the border. Now, by the way, just look at him. He looks like Joe Biden. And there's a damn good reason why he looks like Joe Biden. I'm telling you this and I'm telling you now. And I've actually put money on Gavin Newsom as my pick, my long shot pick for the Democrat ticket. I'm sitting there yesterday and I was tweeting around. I'm saying like, yeah, they're deliberately making Gavin Newsom look like Joe Biden. They're doing something, what I call a sort of a persuasion, mind control, manufacturing consent, where in the minds of Democrats who like Joe Biden more than Kamala Harris, who know that Joe Biden has a very, very big problem, they're going to like just subtly, subconsciously insert Gavin Newsom, make him look enough like Joe Biden that people are going to say, well, he's just the younger, more handsome, more energetic, more vigorous Joe Biden. I guess I'm going to vote for him. So, and if you, by the way, if you go to Predicted, Predicted is where you can actually bet on these futures in these markets. The picture on Predicted looks like Joe Biden. This is persuasion, but he's channeling Whitey Bulger. I saw that movie, Black Mass or Dark Mass. Great movie. No, I'm telling you, they're doing this. They're doing this on purpose because we all know Joe Biden is not going to be the man on the ticket. My only concern is that he might get the nomination and then they have to pull him after. And then, according to Predictit's rules, even if I bet that Gavin Newsom replaces him, I think Gavin Newsom has to be appointed to the ticket and not replace him afterwards. So it doesn't matter. I have put a little money where my mouth is to make it fun. I think Gavin Newsom is going to be the one. Oh, lordy. And, on the topic of being a demented old buffoon who can barely string a sentence together, meanders off into the crowd. We're going to get to this in a second. A cure for that might be 1775 coffee, people. Are you a sleepy Joe who has zero cognitive performance, scared of walking upstairs without being worried you're going to fall down or up if you're lucky enough? Are you scared you're going to go to a G7 summit and just meander off and start talking to parachuters who don't seem to care that you're there, ignoring the guy who is talking to you? If you have problems like Joe Biden does, maybe a little bit of caffeine in the morning is going to help you out. You need to stop drinking woke liberal coffee and start your day by drinking Rumble's very own 1775 coffee. Never mind, it'll be the best tasting coffee you've ever had in your life, as in seriously good. It is seriously good. It's also ethically sourced from a family farm in the high altitude mountains of Bolivia. So instead of waking up tomorrow and drinking your mold infested, corporation owned, woke ideology coffee that's probably making you sick with the pesticides they spray all over it, and if you want to avoid looking like a Joe or, a jacked up Gavin, get a bag of 1775 coffee. Support a company that respects you as a consumer and build the parallel economy that we know that we need. Go to 1775coffee.com right now. Pick up your first bag. You'll get 10% off your first order if you use promo code Viva. So make it a big one. They've got medium dark peaberry. And at the risk of making jokes that I've been told not to make, I take my coffee like I take my humor, dark. I have no idea. I like dark coffee, obviously. 1775.com/Viva. What is it? Hold on a second. I'm an idiot here. 1775coffee.com/Viva. The company with a partnership with Rumble, two companies that respect you, respect your business, and respect free speech. The link is in the description. And by the way, we're gonna segue into the second sponsor in a bit because it's beautiful. Good afternoon, everybody. I feel like I'm struggling to take deep breaths because it's summertime. I'm gonna complain about this probably throughout the summer, but maybe less so when I get back to my wife. Right now, I've got 2 kids on my own. My wife has 1 kid on her own, up in the behind the Great Iron Rainbow, and it's impossible. It's impossible. I don't know how parents do it, especially during the summer. I've got a more, non-traditional schedule. The kids don't understand what I do. I think they appreciate it, but even though I have a more non-traditional schedule, it's impossible. You try to work, you're always stressed, you're always pulled in 10 different directions. Kids are off school for the summer, and I can't say my kids got friends, and they don't have, their parents are working day jobs elsewhere. So I end up being a chauffeur for 6 kids at any given time, and I don't mind. Oh, but my goodness, it makes for stress. But it's fun. Now, what I was going to say is the liars are out in full force. We're going to have to go over a couple of stories that we touched on yesterday because there's more developments in Young Thug. And by the way, I've turned into my grandmother. When I was a kid, my grandmother, Grandma Ruth, a very cranky old lady, but probably a cranky old lady. Her husband died when she was very young, and I think she had a lingering resentment for the cosmos. And we were talking about 2 Live Crew back in the day. And we're in the car, and we were playing some 2 Live Crew with my grandmother in the car. And then she goes, "What is this, 2 Screw?" And we all had a good laugh. And that was actually the last time I was in Florida at the age of 11. But anyhow, so I started the stream off with the title, Lil Thug, because I'm a little idiot. It's Young Thug. And oh my goodness, we're going to just dabble a little bit more in the insanity in that case. We're going to revisit the Joe Biden meandering off like a dawdling old fool who has no idea where the hell he is because the propaganda Mockingbird media is out in full force. We're going to talk about Alex Jones, and we're going to talk about the bump stock case, which came out, and the media, being the lying Mockingbird 2.0 enemies of the people that they are lying to you again. 2 Screw? Boomer moment. What the hell's a boomer? Oh, Lordy. So yesterday we talked about the video, that video that we have now seen that has gone around the world. I don't really care for, analytics on tweets. In fact, I don't even know how to check the analytics, but let me see if I can check it on this one. I posted the longer clip of the video of the power gliders at the G7 and Joe Biden pulling like sort of that Hillary Clinton. You guys remember that Hillary Clinton face when the balloons fell out of the sky and she goes like, and then it became a meme and a source of humiliation and embarrassment. There was a short clip of Joe Biden meandering, and that was bad enough. And I said, I'll go find it in the context again. Don't want to get caught, again. And it was even worse in full context. I'm going to play it again. We looked at it yesterday, but I'm going to shed new light on it, and we're going to work it into Mockingbird 2.0 because the lying propagandists at the media are out to exact revenge against the New York Post. Best of the actors. Everybody's coming down. Power glider lands, has the G7 European. Oh, Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau's impressed. Rishi Sunak. Somewhere over on this, if you can see the cursor. There's Macron looking very dapper. These people, is that Macron? These people think they're the most important people on earth. Look at Rishi Sunak. Now you got Joe Biden doing God knows what. Right this way, sir. Look at Rishi Sunak. Right? Look at him like he's impressed about something the power glider said. Ooh, yeah. Look at that face. Ooh. Hold on. Joe Biden, look at that hand. Okay. Putting on aviator glasses. The older, more decrepit Gavin Newsom people. Vote for Gavin Newsom. He's just like Joe Biden, only functional. If you were running for president, he'd vote for you. So that was the clip. This was the longer clip. It makes Joe Biden look even worse. This guy was the one that was talking to them. You appreciate this guy was one of the power gliders or the instructors or whatever. He's the one talking to them in real time. And Joe Biden doesn't know what the hell's going on. He's like, I think I'm going to go talk to this guy. And then that's, what's her name? Oh, Georgia Romani. Georgie. She's like, no, sorry, sir. Over here. That guy's talking to you. You got to listen to him. And then Rishi Sunak's listening to him, whatever he said. He's like, ooh, yeah. Oh, is that right? Oh, nice. The New York Post put out a tweet saying Joe Biden meanders off. And the onslaught that they got from the standard players is amazing. Here you got one from John Harwood. Look at this. Meander in chief. Biden embarrasses us. Confused wanderings at conference. Anybody who just watched that video knows that this is absolutely the case. And then what do we got here? Everybody go find the tweet. I'm going to give it to you right now. And you go vote this not useful. Listen to this. Biden didn't, quote, wander off, says the context being added by the weaponized community notes. After viewing a skydiving demo with the other G7 leaders, Biden stepped aside to speak with one of the skydivers who was kneeling on the ground, packing away his chute. No, he wasn't. That guy on the ground packing his chute had nothing to do with Joe Biden. The video in the above post has been digitally altered to remove the skydiver. No, it hasn't. Digitally altered. They're saying the crop, in as much as there ever was a crop, is digitally altering the video. I would go rate that as useless, argumentative, sources not supporting, and Operation Mockingbird. They got to have that as one of the extra things. John Harwood, people. I am old enough to remember when John Harwood wasn't a scumbag, sleazebag that he calls other people. John Harwood, John J. Harwood. You remember him? I mean, I remember him being a trusted journalist. Like, or was I just always an idiot? Or was he always a scumbag? Or was he trusted and then sold his soul to the devil? Public speaker. Wall Street Journal, New York Times, NBC, CNN. That is the who's who of fake news. Podcast Pennsylvania, yada, yada, yada. He comes out and says, disgusting sleazebags. Oh, okay. They're coming hard after the New York Post. You know, the only outlet that was right and accurate about the Hunter Biden story, that was censored and or at least locked out of their accounts for the story, that were told that it was a Russian information campaign. 51 intelligence officers came out and said that it's a Russian intelligence campaign. They were slandered back then for telling the truth. I don't think, I mean, the New York Post is only a shade better than all the other ones, but it's a shade better than all the other ones. That was one post. But then, as you know, you spend enough time on Twitter and you notice a few more things. Did I bring it up here? Hold on. Where is it? Hey, look at this. You spend the time, you start to see a trend. Here we go. This is from Matthew Gertz, who's from Media Matters for America. The thing about this is they are fully aware that they are lying and don't care. If you thought Matthew Gertz was a Republican, you'd think that he was talking about the media who's trying to cover up this gaffe. That's Matthew Gertz, Media Matters for America, a liar. But he's out saying the same thing, going after the New York Post. History matters. The New York Post has a hit piece. The New York Post has hit the pinnacle of trash, quote, news media, end quote. And then they're quoting Andrew Bates, who says the Murdoch outlets are so desperate to distract from POTUS's record that they just lie. Here they use an artificially narrow frame. That's not artificially narrow at all, to hide the viewers that he just saw a skydiving demonstration. He's saying congratulations to one of the divers and giving a thumbs up while ignoring the guy who's talking to the group of politicians, so much so that they need to come in and corral him back to the people. Andrew Bates. There was a fourth one in there. Hold on. Who's the fourth one? John J. Harwood. Is it not amazing that they all come out in like, I don't think it's coordinated. It's just organic dishonesty. They come out and they say, oh shit, well, this is the point that we need to run today. Oh. Did I not say good afternoon to everybody? Good afternoon, everybody. Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida rumbler. David Freiheit. Freiheit means freedom in German. Yeah, it's a very good last name. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. They are pathological liars. They accuse others of doing what they are doing, and they run it in such a transparent, coordinated campaign that if you just know what you're looking for, you're going to see it everywhere you look. I should have looked at we're live also on. We are live on Rumble. We are live on vivabarneslaw.locals.com, where Bill Brown has posted a meme that says, when you take the country downhill so fast, they give you a ski team outfit. When you take the country downhill so fast, they put you on the ski team. I screwed that up, but Bill Brown is the master of funny memes. We got Finboy Slick in the community, who's the master of AI-generated gross images of me and others. And that's it. We're going to stay on all three, probably all platforms, because this is going to be a relatively short stream because I've got to go back and be a professional chauffeur again. That's coming out of the fake news media. Now, revisiting that story, revisiting the judge in the Young Thug trial, I was watching more analysis of this. You know, I watched Phil Holloway. I watched Ashley Merchant. So it's such an amazing thing. You literally have the forces of good battling the forces of evil. Ashley Merchant is the attorney for Michael Roman, who blew open the whole Fani Willis bullshit RICO persecution of Donald Trump. She was the one who spearheaded. There's a lot of lawyers and they all had their roles to play in that amazingness. But Ashley Merchant is the one who exposed the story of Nathan Willis and Fannie Wade's affair. Nathan Wade hiding assets from his wife in divorce. Nathan Wade being on the payroll. Nathan Wade, doing all sorts of things that you shouldn't be doing with the prosecutor when you're prosecuting the most important case of all time. She blew that case open. Ashley Merchant is now representing, I don't remember his first name. I think it's Michael Steele. Michael Balls of Steel Steele. Mr. Balls of Steel. We're just going to call him that. The lawyer in the Young Thug trial who's blowing open the corruption in the Georgia prosecution and the Georgia court system. All of you should know what's going on in the Young Thug trial. Young Thug is on trial for nine charges involving RICO charges, racketeering, intimidation, corruption organization. He's alleged to have participated in RICO crimes by virtue of the fact that he and others rented a car, allegedly for the purposes of committing a murder, such that when they rented that car, they knew, Young Thug knew it was in the context of an organized criminal activity to kill the victim of whomever. The star witness for the prosecution, Copefield, is a guy who's testified, admitted to lying about everything and anything, saying whatever is necessary to get his own butt out of trouble. It was revealed to Mr. Balls of Steel that the prosecution witness, this guy, had met with the prosecutor and the judge and the witness's lawyer, was given immunity for his testimony, and then when he subsequently refused to testify, was held in contempt. and that he had this ex parte communication with the prosecution and the judge after he had been sworn in as a witness under oath. And to say that that's unethical is an understatement. It's egregious corruption of the highest order. And when Steele became aware of this, the judge demanded to know how Steele became aware of this. Not, it didn't happen. Oh, who lied to you? It was proprietary information. The only way he could have ever found out about it is if someone at that meeting had told Young Thug's attorney, which obviously was the case. And that judge wanted to know who exposed the illegal, corrupt activity of the judge, the prosecutor, with the defense. At Brian Steele, thank you. And when Mr. Brian Balls of Steel said, I'm not telling you that, the judge said, if you don't tell me this, I'm going to put you in jail, hold you in contempt. And he said, okay, I don't want to be held in contempt, but I'm not telling you, piss off. And then the judge said, all right, criminal contempt, just like that, bam, 20 days, serve it over the weekend, 2 days over the weekend for the next 20 days. I've talked about this yesterday. Okay, fine. Ashley Merchant is representing Brian Steele, and you literally have the forces of good battling the forces of evil in real time. The forces of good, Ashley Merchant, Steele, and others. The forces of evil, Fani Willis. Fani. I want to call her Fanny Willis because if her parents wanted us to pronounce it Fani, they would have spelt it Fawny. Fanny. Hanny, Panny, Fanny. That's it. Not because it rhymes with butt any more than in Billy Madison, My Sister Fanny. Well, that got some chuckles. This is where we're going with it today to South Texas. The judge didn't even know civil versus criminal contempt rules. The judge didn't even know basic contempt rules. Now, look, I'm trying to think if any of my clients have ever been held in contempt. Yes, once. Doesn't matter. Very, very bad. The judge on the spot orders him to jail guilty of contempt. And Ashley Merchant, his attorney, comes up and says, you can't do that. I do not know what. And she's like, what type of contempt did you find him in? Criminal or civil? Civil, he says. Oh, okay. Here, listen to this. I love this part. So I saw this and I'm like, holy crab apples. It's not just that we're being governed by our inferiors. We're being ruled by idiots. Like corruption is one thing. Stupidity is another. But stupid, corrupt people are the, that's where the combination gets very bad. I mean, stupid people, they can be good-natured and they can be willing to learn. Corrupt people, now, you know what? You have to be worried about the smart, corrupt people because they'll screw you and then you won't know what to do. But it's stupid corruption is this right here. Listen to this.
Argument from Merchant didn't matter one bit. Judge Glanville held Brian Steele in contempt.
Mr. Steele, I am going to hold you under, hold you in summary criminal contempt.
Summary criminal contempt.
Pursuant to OCJ 15-1-3, subpart 3, for your failure to comply with my earlier order today.
To tell me how you found out about my illegal meeting. Who was it that said, oh no, it was Edward Snowden. He says, when you get punished as the criminal for exposing the crime, that's how you know you're being ruled and not governed.
I'm going to order that you be taken into custody, incarcerated at the Fulton County Jail for no more than 20 days for this contempt. Those 20 days consisting of every weekend for the next 10 weekends.
I mean, it's so wild. Later on, Ashley is giving an interview to this particular outlet. She's like, you jail the lawyer over the weekend in the context of a criminal trial that he's representing a defendant in? This is flipping insanity, but it gets worse because Ashley Merchant, if Brian Balls of Steel revealed the corruption in real time, live on the air for the entire interwebs to see, Ashley Merchant has just made the judge look like a moron. Corruption and moron put together. Check this out.
And you'll be reporting to 901 Wright Street Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318 at 7 p.m. on Fridays. You'll be released on 7 p.m. on Sundays.
And he can read real good.
This Friday, June the 14th at 7 p.m. and not to end until Sunday, August the 18th at 2024, 7 p.m., subject to further order of this court.
Now, after the judge said that Brian Steele was going to have to spend his weekends in jail, Steele had just one request.
Can I ask a question? I'm going to file a notice of appeal, but for whatever reason that doesn't take, and you don't give a bond, then I'd ask that I can be with Mr. Williams and we work on our case all weekend. for all those weeks.
Oh crap! Where's the part?
Right. And,
Where's the part
oh
where-
my God, call me on my phone. I'm getting in the car. I'm driving down there. And,
Where's the
I've
part where
served for many years as GACTL, as our association's contempt attorney, where we have attorneys that we dispatch if any lawyers are ever held in contempt. We call it strike force. So I'm a member of that. So I'm one of the lawyers that regularly would represent someone. But when I heard Brian was in custody, I had to go myself.
Okay, hold on a
That's
second.
just for the record is
Here we go. This is the part. I'm sorry, I played the wrong part. I'm an
Attorney
idiot.
Ashley
Okay, listen to
Merchant
this.
came to court to represent Brian Steele in this contempt matter.
By the way, I think it was Albert Einstein who said, if you can't explain something complicated simply, you don't understand it well enough. If you can't say something 5 times in a row, you don't know what you're talking about. Listen to this. Just asking the obvious questions. What type of contempt did you say it was, Mr. Judge?
Judge, just for the record, is the criminal contempt, is it criminal contempt that you held him in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you said you had a hearing earlier today.
And with criminal contempt, I told him what the contempt was, and that was he refused to tell, order the court. If counsel, as you know, if
As you
court
know.
orders you to do something and you don't, that's criminal contempt.
First of all, no, it's not, by the way. He's confusing in facie, ex facie, I think, which is contempt committed in the face of the court, like right there, versus contempt committed outside of the court, like not abiding by a court order. You do something so egregious in court that it's in facie, it's contemptuous behavior in the face of the court versus contempt committed outside the court. Okay, I think that's the confusion. But what's patently apparent, this idiot, corrupt moron of a judge doesn't even understand the type of contempt he just found Brian Steele guilty of and what rules apply to that type of contempt.
So I've asked him several times, please just tell me who it is that told you. I didn't ask or inquire about anything that was said. I just want to know who it was.
I don't want to know I didn't ask about what was said. I just want to know who it was. All right. I don't care about what the source told you. I want to know your source. Imagine using that argument on a journalist, for example. I mean, this is a guy in the context of his legal representation of his client became aware of an unlawful, corrupt meeting. And the judge says, who told you? If I were, you could always live back live things better when it's like, oh, I should have said that. Brian Steele should have said, who told you, Mr. Steele? You did, Your Honor. Right now, by admitting that it happened. Checkmate, biatch. But listen to this.
Because he's got too much detail.
He's got too much
of
detail.
This particular alleged conversation for the court to be concerned about it. So
And
He's got to say alleged. He's still got to try to cover his ass. He's got too much detail of this particular event that never happened, allegedly.
Judge, since it is a criminal contempt, he is entitled to due process. He's entitled to a hearing, entitled to an actual show
Look at the
cause,
judge's face.
entitled to the allegations actually written, entitled to a witness list. We're entitled to present our own witness list and
well, no,
notice of that.
criminal contempt is different. It is on the spot.
That's in
So
facie.
He's gotten the due process he's going to get. That's on the
He's gotten as much due process as he's going to get off to jail, sir.
spot. I told him. Plus, he's had all day
To
tell
tell me
who it is.
who it is.
Is it so a little different, Miss Merchant? I'm going to disagree with you, but
Well, and
Okay.
Judge, just for the record, it's that's direct. So what you're holding him in is in direct criminal contempt.
yes.
The issue with the direct criminal contempt is whether or not to actually hold a hearing now, whether or not it needs to be held immediately. And the problem is, if you hold him in direct criminal contempt, as you're saying that you did, you are a witness to that proceeding. And so it has to
Look at the
be
people in the front.
referred to another judge. Doesn't require recusal. You actually have to sua sponte send it to another judge because you're a witness to the proceeding.
Oh,
If you're anything
is
like
she-
me, you are
is she good? Okay, that's it. Schooling the judge and humiliating him, but revealing the egregious corruption going on in Fulton. I just had to pull that up because it's an amazing thing what happens when you are corrupt and dumb. You can't even cover up your tracks properly. She is, sorry, that's not the one. Well, hold on. Yeah, here we go. Miss Merchant taking the judge to school. And could there ever be a better segue for our next sponsor of the day? You want to go to school and you want it to be free and you want it to be online and you want to learn important things like the Constitution and the meaning of the Constitution, you go to hillsdale.edu/Viva. Let me just take that. Breaking Viva, check your email for video. Well, I'm going to go check my email right now. But after this, taking him to school. There is no greater gift than knowledge. It's actually the one gift that once you give, you cannot take back, and you make someone else better for having shared it. If you want to get smarter, go to Hillsdale College. It's offering more than 40 free online courses in the most important and enduring subjects. You can learn about the works of C.S. Lewis, who's got some great quotes on tyranny. You can learn about the stories of the book of Genesis. I think everybody has a lot to learn from the Bible. You can learn about the meaning of the U.S. Constitution, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, and the history of the Christian Church with Hillsdale College's online courses, all available for free. It's an amazing thing, people. There is no time that is wasted if you're gathering knowledge. I was listening to Joe Rogan, and he had on, Ricky, not Ricky Bobby. The Ricky, who was the FBI drug dealer for the longest time, spent 20 years in jail, got degrees, got knowledge. A day is not wasted if you acquire knowledge in that day. And this is free. hillsdalecollege.edu/Viva. I personally recommend you sign up for the Constitution 101, the meaning and the history of the U.S. Constitution, so that maybe you learn a little bit about due process, which this judge didn't learn about. Maybe you learn about the separation of powers, legislative, executive, and judicial branches, so that you don't have administrative bodies thinking that they are the legislative branches. In the 12-course lecture on the Constitution, you'll explore the design and purpose of the Constitution, the challenges it faced during the Civil War, and how it has been undermined for more than a century by progressivism and liberalism, and I dare say corrupt, dumb judges. The course is self-paced, so you can start whenever you want. Enroll now. Constitution 101. Our country needs more Americans who understand the Constitution and can defend the freedom of the American people against the encroachments of an increasingly large and unaccountable government. Hillsdale.edu/Viva to enroll, and go do it. And do it in large numbers so that we can see that this actually has a meaningful impact. It's good for Americans who want to learn the Constitution, and perhaps Canadians who might have their own damn good reasons for wanting to learn and master the Constitution as well. Hillsdale.edu/Viva. You'll learn. You'll learn a bit. Maybe the judge. So who wants to send the link to the judge? Now, I got curious. Who sent me an email? Let me see if I'm going to get spam or something here. Who has it? Not very many people have my email address. Let me see something here. Okay, no email here. How about the other email address that I have? Okay, send that. Is there another one here? I do not see Google alerts. Hold on, I'm in the news. Biden causes controversy with his moves at the G7 summit. Footage goes viral on social media, and I'm in the news here. Okay, good. I don't see a video, but I'm going to continue with this. Actually, we haven't done this. Heart tackle. Happy fishing, Sir Viva. Heart. The amount of water that has fallen on Florida over the last 4 days this week, all of the ponds were not just like 4 feet lower this way. They were like 4 to 5 feet lower this way. And the ponds get wider. And so 4 to 5 feet where it increases in surface area is such a tremendous amount of water. And they're full to the brim now, overflowing. And I'm going to go out fishing this afternoon with the girls when they get back, and we'll have a little fun. So hard tackle, made in America. Great tackle. Thank you very much, sir. Let me see if on the Rumble side, we have Nike 7. Viva, the ATF director, has issued a statement on the bump stock rulings. That even legal? I don't know, Nike 7. I'm going to see if I can get that. And let's see what we got going on in vivabarneslaw.locals.com. We've got a couple of tips here. Let me see here. We got Judge is a DEI hire. Also have Steve Gosney for a sidebar. That's a good idea. I'm told that I'm not allowed. Are we allowed saying DEI sidebar? I'm told that that's a DEI hire. I'm told that that's a whatever. Everything's racist these days. Now we got Finboy Slick with Aviva and Barnes from The Big Lebowski waxing our balls. Spat on the table. Viva, keep your schmeckle in your pants and your balls polished. Thank you very much, Finboy Slick. That's beautiful. We're going to go on to the bump stock case. It's an amazing thing. Like, once you see the pattern, you see it everywhere. Do you remember when Roe v. Wade was overturned and they came out and said the Supreme Court just outlawed abortion? The Gavin Newsoms of the world. That's what they were saying. Everybody. So I just got distracted here. Ashley is a stud. It says dog digger. Okay, sorry. She's a smart woman. That's all that matters. After Roe v. Wade was overturned, the media came out and said the Supreme Court, a bunch of radicals, a bunch of compromised Trump appointees. Remember when Trump criticized the court system? It was subversive. It was unconstitutional. It was dangerous. When they threaten, or when they complain about the judges and the rulings and call them all sorts of names like extremists on the bench, that's fine because they have no principles. They're like I say progressives are like an anchorless ship floating at sea, no direction, no nothing. So what was bad when their adversaries did it is now somehow good when they do it because the ends justify the means. Roe versus Wade was overturned, and they said Supreme Court outlawed abortion. When all that they said is it's not a federal issue, which I happen to disagree with. I think I would go for the argument that the point at which a life is to be protected is a constitutional issue, and therefore it should be decided by the Supreme Court. At what point is an unborn child a fetus? At what point does it benefit from constitutional protections? Because that would seem to be the date after which abortion would be illegal at a federal level. So they lied, though. The bottom line is they lied. It wasn't the Supreme Court saying anything of the sort. They're saying it's a state issue. Kick it back to the states. You want to live in a disgusting state like California with Gavin Newsom where you can have like post-birth abortions? State issue. You want to live in a place like Alabama where it's, I don't know, heartbeat, no exceptions for whatever? Go to Alabama. And if you don't like it in Alabama and you want to be able to abort up until the 30th week, move to California. Oh, and then they say that they're outlawing interstate travel for the purposes of lies, lies, lies. And once you see how they lie once, you know how they lie again. The Supreme Court ruling came down declaring that the bump stock ban, as amended by the ATF? I think it was the ATF, as they amended their guidelines to now re-qualify the bump stock, I think, as a machine gun type thing, and therefore illegal. Well, they couldn't do that. And now the media is saying, the talking heads, the John J. Harwoods, the David Hoggs. I just got distracted. Just everybody like, have I been to my mail? I have to go. I actually have to go to the post office today. They come out and they say the Supreme Court just legalized bump stocks. Well, actually, what the Supreme Court said was the ATF was wrong for illegalizing them in the first place. Anybody who I don't know how they're going to compensate people who destroyed theirs or handed theirs in, and anybody who maintained possession can now use them. What they said was that this is a congressional issue, and the ATF exceeded its administrative powers by unilaterally, effectively modifying legislation. Let me just bring up the one. But first of all, it's an amazing thing. I actually now, having read through the decision, appreciate how the bump stock works. The argument was, there were two arguments. The left, again, I say left progressives, inconsistent arguments. On the one hand, they argue that it's a machine gun, which it isn't, or it's effectively a machine gun, which it isn't. And then on the other hand, they say, well, it fires too rapidly, 90 shots in 10 seconds if you know how to do it properly. And that is too much. And the Supreme Court came out and said, look, if Congress wanted to regulate a gun based on the amount of shots it can fire in a second while being a semi-automatic, they would have done so. And if that's where the prohibition is going to lie, that's how it has to be done. But because it can shoot rapidly, does not make a semi-automatic rifle a machine gun. And the amazing thing is I never actually fully appreciated how it worked, the bump stock, because the question was, a machine gun or a fully automatic machine gun is a gun where you pull the trigger once and hold it, and it rapid fire without having to reaction the trigger will spray bullets. The bump stock, however the extension works, let me see, I'll get the graph again. But the bump stock basically uses the recoil of the rifle to bounce back the rifle in a way where instead of actioning the trigger with your finger repeatedly, because it's still a semi-automatic, you use the recoil and bounce back of the gun to basically move the gun around the trigger so that you can pull the trigger faster because you're not actually pulling the trigger. The motion of the gun as it bumps back actions the trigger, but it still remains a semi-automatic, not machine gun rifle. And I presume I've never fired one with the bump stocks. I have no idea. I presume that not everybody can get this type of motion. Not everybody can get this type of action. That it requires some skill and some ability to gunsling fast. It's not everybody can do it. It's not because a revolver can shoot. Someone can do it, fan it, and shoot their guns very fast. That anybody can do it. So the majority decision 6-3 comes out and says it's not a machine gun because every action of the trigger is what actions a bullet, and it doesn't become a machine gun simply by virtue of the fact that this mechanism allows you to, if you can do it, shoot more rounds in a second, 90 in 10 seconds. I'm not sure if that's true, but I don't know everything there is to know about firearms. And the argument of the dissident to the effect that, well, it's a machine gun. It isn't, because it doesn't operate the way a machine gun does. Oh, it fires too many rounds per second. Well, if that was the restriction that Congress wanted to implement as relates to semi-automatic firearms, they would have done it. And they've tried to have high-capacity magazine bans. They've tried to, if they wanted to do it, that's how they could have done it. And hint, hint, that's how they can do it. But the ATF can't come in and reinterpret regulation that hitherto had not been read that way, to read it in a way that undermines and contradicts the law unilaterally based on their administrative autonomy. Period. That's the summary of it. We'll talk about it more on Sunday, but I wanted to just pull up the this was Gavin Newsom's. 90 shots in 10 seconds. This decision will put blood in our streets. That blood will be on the hands of every Republican in Congress who has refused to enact common sense reforms. The amazing thing right here, by the way, is he implicitly understands and acknowledges the legality of the ruling. So you want to blame Congress for not enacting laws, that's fine. But the ATF is not there to surreptitiously, or I should say, beyond the scope of their powers, do what Congress has not done. So you want to blame Congress, go ahead and blame Congress. But what you're doing is understanding the legality of the ruling. But this particular tweet, 90 shots in 10 seconds, this decision will put blood in our streets. First of all, Gavin, there's plenty of blood in the streets of California as well. Oakland, Chicago. I'm trying to think of some of the big cities where you have lots of gun violence. If that's the rationale, you already have blood on your hands, you yourself, Gavin Newsom. But, we talk about every fear hides a wish, David Mamet. This decision will put blood on our streets, and the blood will be on the hands of Republicans who didn't act. This is your, I don't know if paradigmic. This is the paradigm of every fear hides a wish. This is the problem with these mass shootings, or any shooting for that matter, is that it is immediately politicized and immediately weaponized. And when he says, "Oh my, if this terrible thing were to happen, it would be the fault of Republicans," what do you think that is, if not a dog whistle? What do you think that is, if not people are going to think, well, if you're so gung-ho on blaming your political adversaries for this, it's almost like you sort of want it to happen so that you can then weaponize it and exploit it, on the one hand. On the other hand, Gavin, gun violence in New York is already bad. Gun violence in Chicago is already bad. Gun violence in LA is already bad. And so you, by your own rationale, already have blood on your hands. Period. I want to get the tweet where I got here we go, as usual. So this is just, you get through the whole description and the history and the functioning. And then you read what the court says. The dissent's additional argument for applying the presumption against ineffectiveness fails on its own terms. To argue that our interpretation makes the section of law far less effective, the dissent highlights that a shooter with a bump stock equipped rifle can achieve a rate of fire that rivals traditional machine guns. But the dissent elsewhere acknowledges that a shooter can do the same with an unmodified semi-automatic rifle using a manual bump fire technique. Because I didn't understand this either. You don't need to have the additional piece. Other people can just do it on their own. I was trying to think of an analogy. If you could, I don't know, attach a paint mixer to a rifle, so it shakes the gun. If you just hold your finger in place, it can shake and you can action the trigger, but just by moving the gun back and forth. I don't know if that is conceivable. And there's probably some laws about modifying, adding modifications to a gun to that mechanical level. But other people could do it just based on technique. Now, hold on a second. The dissent thus fails to prove that our reading makes the section far less effective, much less ineffective, as is required to invoke the presumption. In any event, Congress could have linked the definition of machine gun to a weapon's rate of fire, as the dissent would prefer, but instead enacted a statute that turns on whether weapon can fire more than one shot automatically by a single function of the trigger. And, quote, it is never our job to rewrite statutory text under the banner of speculation about what Congress might have done. Bada bing, we affirm the judgment of the Court of Appeals. And now it stands 6-3 or 7-2. I think it was 6-3. Not 1,000% sure. That's the decision. There was another one that was interesting as well, but we'll get to those presumably on Sunday. And by presumably, I mean definitely on Sunday. There's a Rumble rant over here, and then we're going to get into Alex Jones. The left manipulates language knowing people are too lazy to inform themselves about the conversation. It started with guns and has moved into every aspect of our lives, and it shows. Changed my mind. Crash Bandit. There's no need to change your mind because your mind is right. You know what's been driving me crazy these days? Can't find power energy drinks without sucralose, without stevia, without aspartame, without sugar. Pure. It's really, really irritating me. And for whatever the reason, I don't know what the deal is in America. Like, carbonated water is not as much of a thing as gas stations as it is in Canada. In fact, it's sometimes very difficult to find just carbonated water. I find Topo Chico at a lot of places. That's very good stuff. But have you noticed that Newsom is a mini Trudeau? No, I think, well, I have, but I think Newsom is more of a mini Gavin Newsom. Oh, boys, I put money on it, everybody, on Predicted. I put money on it, and not because I want it to happen, but because it's a sufficient long shot that if it does, it'll be. I am actually betting on my read. I think there's media manipulation trying to make Gavin look not like a mini Newsom, not like a mini Trudeau. Excuse me, but like a mini, that other guy there, Biden, a mini Biden that is functional and can string together a sentence. Roostang $2 from our locals community says, looking forward to Viva doing a video of him demonstrating his marksmanship on the gun range. Might be sooner than later. Stay tuned, people. I've gone full Florida man. I trimmed yesterday because it was getting too long again. And when it gets too long and then I feel the hairs and I start doing this, and then it looks like it's a gross habit to always be licking your lips. All right, Alex Jones. Let me just see if there's been any updates in the Alex Jones. I started listening to the hearing. Holy shit, people. That was boring. I mean, it was boring. It was boring, first of all, because I couldn't get the audio to work on the go-to court hearing thing. And it was just boring because it's bankruptcy, and it wasn't Young Thug level insanity. It was just bankruptcy, and everybody. In bankruptcy, you have so many interested parties. You have your creditors, you have your secured creditors, you have your trustee, you have your committees who represent the interests of certain parties. And so the bottom line, from what I've understood, and the other thing is this, Albert Einstein, if you can't explain something complicated in simple terms, you don't understand it well enough. I'm not convinced that I understand this well enough. I think I understand what happened here, but I'm not 1,000% certain. But the judge, because there's two different parties that had gone through chapters. Chapter 7 is liquidation. Chapter 11 is restructuring. If it becomes clear that your Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, you can't be. You're protected from lawsuit when you're in bankruptcy protection. But if it becomes clear that you can't reorganize, well, then you go from Chapter 11, bankruptcy protection, to Chapter 7, liquidation. There is Alex Jones personally, who filed Chapter 11, and InfoWars or Free Speech Entertainment, whichever one owns it, that also filed for Chapter 11. And from what I understand, it was Alex Jones who asked that it be transferred from Chapter 11 reorganization to liquidation because victims the judgment creditors don't seem to want to negotiate. And the judge orders Alex Jones to liquidate personal assets to pay Sandy Hook legal fees. So that's it. Okay, I was going to say, holy cows, the Google thing's back up here. A federal judge on Texas, we're just going to do this here. We'll do it in real time. Federal judge in Texas on Friday ruled to liquidate Alex Jones's personal assets as the families of the victims of the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre look to recoup their nearly $1.5 billion fine. That forced him to declare bankruptcy. The judge did not rule on the bankruptcy case against Jones Media, InfoWars. Okay, so meaning they're still going to be under Chapter 11 reorg, I guess, meaning the future of the platform is still uncertain. The conservative media host used the platform repeatedly to call. I'm not reading their stupid lies about. They lie about what Alex Jones did and didn't do as much as they say Alex Jones lied about the massacre. Okay, here we go. The family and Jones came to an agreement last week that his assets should be liquidated. The judge, Christopher Lopez, approved the liquidation Friday, but did not determine the fate of the conservative media website. There might be $15 million worth of stuff to liquidate. Like it's Alex Jones is going to, he won't be able to make any money. Some of the damages are not dischargeable. So, if he makes over a certain amount, they'll get to garnish that, but he can make a certain amount. And there's a good homestead rules in Texas. So he'll live a modest life and he'll have a bigger voice than he ever had. And he'll do it through Schminfo Schmores instead of InfoWars, because InfoWars will dissipate. They want the company to liquidate. They want all of Alex Jones's personal and corporate social media accounts. They want to shut him up. I mean, that's basically what they've wanted to do. What's going to happen? All right, liquidate it all. We'll start a new thing. It'll be like Project Veritas to OMG. We're going to go from InfoWars to what's after the war? Not the whatever. He'll change it, and he'll work from his homestead. He won't make above the threshold that is whatever the homestead laws are, and the families will never recover. But they never wanted to recover anyhow. Apparently, they just wanted to shut him down, and they won't even be able to do that. They'll just make him stronger and more popular. Okay, so it means his personal assets, including his collection of firearms and his $2.8 million ranch home, will be sold with the earnings distributed to the families. So, by the way, and he still gets to appeal this entire unjust process in Texas. Connecticut, it was the appeal suspends execution pending appeal. In Texas, it doesn't, and that has to be legislatively remedied because it's absolutely outrageous that they can execute on a judgment as you appeal the $1.5 billion quantum attributed after the default liability was found based on a default verdict. It's incomprehensible that they can execute while you appeal. The injustice is actually sort of tangential or incidental to all of this. In a court filing Thursday, the families also claimed Jones' social media accounts should be included in liquidation to prevent him from using them to create future businesses. Lopez did not rule on the social media accounts either. What I found particularly shocking, I'll tell you at the end, actually, the families have said they plan to pursue Jones' future earnings, regardless of whether he continues broadcasting InfoWars. Jones acknowledged his shows may not survive. This is probably the end of InfoWars here very soon, if not today, in the next weeks or months, Jones told reporters outside the court. But it's just the beginning of my fight against tyranny. Jones has estimated he has less than $12 million in assets, meaning he will carry an enormous legal debt even after the media platform sold. Of course, well, $1.5 billion. Give me an effing break. And then they talk about, they summarize the shooting as though Alex had anything to do with the shooting. There's people out there who believe that Alex Jones had something to do with the actual shooting. I'm listening to this, and they were talking about transferring assets to the trustee or the interim trustee, and they kept on talking about solicitor-client privilege documents. And I couldn't understand what they were talking about, and maybe Barnes will clarify more on Sunday. But my understanding is that, and they've stated as much, they're going to try to find other venues, other angles to sue Alex Jones even afterwards. New additional causes of action. Undoubtedly, for anybody who's ever done any bankruptcy law, and by the way, despite the fact that I look like an absolute madman, I was involved in several bankruptcy cases for several years, and I got a freaking crash course on bankruptcy laws up in Canada, at least. I mean, they're going to start attacking every transaction that could argue to be not at arm's length, as call it preferential payments, fraudulent concealment. They're going to go. They're not done by any means. They're going to make Alex Jones's life a living hell for as long as they can through lawfare. And they will be able to until such time as this outrageous ruling is overturned by an appellate court who comes in and says, this was not due process. This was not justice. This was not audi alteram partem. Everyone has the right to be heard. This was a politically motivated persecution, an egregious judicial injustice. And even if you think some of the words that Alex Jones actually spoke inflicted distress, were hurtful, were wrong, set aside all of his legal defenses of sincerely believing them at the time, setting aside all of the legal defenses of whether or not they were single-purpose public figures. Hence, you have to prove actual malice and not just falseness. Set aside all the legal defenses. How much would it be worth? $1.5 billion? $90 million to an FBI agent who had no family members get shot or killed on that day, who claimed intentional infliction of emotional distress because people were harassing him, and they were harassing him before Alex Jones started covering this? I don't know if anybody even, I mean, I know we all watched it, but I was rewatching that FBI agent's testimony because he was breaking down on the stand, and I can understand why. He was recounting the incident on the stand during the hearing on the quantum against Alex Jones, going into vivid, horrific detail about the incident, as though to create the impression within the jury, and ostensibly he did, that Jones was responsible for the horrors of that day. It was the trial was not Kafkaesque, not a kangaroo show trial. It was an exercise in the most insidious form of manipulation possible to add the insult to the injury of the kangaroo court show trial of a judge who was literally posing for the cameras almost as much as New York nipple judge Engara. So Jones is going into liquidation on the personal level. He'll have protections under Texas law for homestead, for home stuff. And I don't know what the thresholds are, but he'll live. And he can go and broadcast as he will to even more people. If it's not InfoWars, it'll be called Better Than InfoWars. Anybody know the band Better Than Ezra? And they got into a fight over the name of the band. And so they said, well, you can't call it Ezra. So they said, okay, well, we'll call it Better Than Ezra. And that's how Better Than Ezra got their name. They have a few good songs. I remember running through the villages. I got all, sorry, Better Than Ezra reminds me of high school. So that's what's going on with Alex Jones. So he'll liquidate, and that'll be it. And he'll continue to broadcast. He'll broadcast from his home like Christian Slater in Pump Up the Volume. He'll reach exponentially more people, and people are going to, I dare say, place exponentially more value in what he says. Because in as much as some of the things he said about Sandy Hook were, in my view, objectively wrong, as a matter of fact, objectively insensitive, he has been right a whole hell of a lot more than he has been wrong. And more importantly, he has been right a whole hell of a lot more than legacy media. In fact, the only things you can really think about Alex having been cut and dry wrong on are his statements on Sandy Hook. They're turning the frogs gay, turned out to be true. Some of the stuff that he talked about when I had him on a while back, and he's like going into not alchemy, but what are they called? Crime when you merge animal and humans? Chimeria? Chat, what is that word? I forget. Hey, he was right. Viva, check your email for a video. Viva, check your email for a video. Hold on, dude. Let me see this here. Not that I hope I'm not getting trolled here, but okay, hold on. I'm gonna go. Oh, I think I see it right now. Hold on. Steve Bannon gave you a quick shout out earlier today. Oh, well, looky. But hold on. At what? Okay. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm watching ads here. Okay, I'm gonna go see what time. If there's a timestamp, Ben. Okay, let me see here. At minute 19. Okay, let's just see here. Ben, thank you very much. I gotta see minute 19. Let's see here. Who do we got?
To kill orders if necessary. So it is very reckless what they did with this unlawful raid on President Trump. And so the people who are complaining that we're complaining about that, I think that they should ask themselves, would it be acceptable if President Trump in the Trump 47 Justice Department sent an armed raid on President Biden with shoot to kill orders? What would their response be?
Yeah, they say this is standard operating procedure, but Viva Fry and Michael Barnes over the weekend had a great podcast. It's not. This is not close to being standard operating procedures. And Judge Cannon's going to call him out for that. I mean,
it's not standard. There is no such thing as standard operating procedures when you're raiding the former president. So now, by the way, Robert Barnes is Paul and Michael. And by the way, neither of us, I should say, neither me nor Barnes, neither Barnes nor me, myself, are remotely sensitive about our names getting wrong. The only reason I ever correct anybody who says Viva Frey instead of Viva Fry, I don't want the internet making fun of them. Who was I just on with? Oh, with Russell Brand. So when I was on with Russell Brand on his channel, and I'm in the backdrop, and I hear him say Viva Frey. First of all, people told me to change the name of the channel because people were going to mispronounce it. Viva Frey. They're going to think I'm a woman named Vivian, whatever. I don't either. I couldn't care less. Growing up, I got free heat, free height, fry heat. My mother used to keep a scrapbook. I think she still has it, of misspellings of our last name. I used to get called, I'm going to swear, I used to get called Fry Fuck. When people didn't like me, they would call me Fry Fuck. They thought that was creative. So I don't care about that whatsoever. And I know Barnes doesn't either. That's fantastic. Bannon, another guy, locking up Bannon for 4 months leading to November, shutting down Jones. And hold on. Viva, don't lose my super chat. Cheryl, what super chat? Don't lose my super chat. Cheryl Gagey. Okay, thank you very much. We got look up Liquid Death for some carbonated water. Yes, Liquid Death is great, but it doesn't have caffeine in it. Have you noticed the Newsom is a mini Trudeau? Hold on. Where is Cheryl Gagey? Is it on the other side? Hold on. Okay, but hold on. We got some chats here. Let's bring up the Rumble side. I'm not going to say that I got distracted when I saw Ricada free press on it, but I did. Ricada Law for Prez. Okay, I don't know who that is. Ricada Law for Prez. What happens if he wins the appeal? Do they have to pay him back all the money they get? For the amount of the judgment? Look, I don't know the answer to that question. I'm only going to say, logically, I would say the amount of the order, yes. That they collected, yes. For everything else, no. His legal fees, not. I mean, unless... And there's no way they're going to get an order that's going to say this was so outrageous that the plaintiffs are somehow personally responsible and have to reimburse Alex for his legal fees. I don't see that happening, but I don't see any world of justice in which, if it's overturned, they get to keep the executed amount that they've collected on based on the judgment that was overturned. But that would be my educated guess as a former Quebec attorney turned Florida Rumbler. Ricada Law for Prez. Yuri Zen 3030. Viva, is Jones appealing the ridiculous Sandy Hook verdict? And if so, do you know the status of his appeal? The whole thing is disgusting. I know that they're appealing it. I don't know what the status of the appeal is now. No, I know that they're appealing it, but maybe I'll get Alex to come back on. Or at least his lawyers might be better off to come back on and talk about it. Body Armor drink is, no, Janeway, I'll check it out, but I guarantee you Body Armor has sucralose, stevia, aspartame, one of those fake sweeteners, and it's all disgusting. King of Biltong is not disgusting. It's freaking delicious. Please use landofbiltong.com. Our redirect from biltongusa.com is not working. Use code VIVA10 for 10% off for purchases over the free shipping limit. Use code VIVA for free shipping under the limit. And that biltong, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's a South African version of beef jerky. And it's freaking delicious, and it also works at catching fish, because when we went fishing, and look, the reality is someone dropped a little piece of biltong on the ground, and I'm not eating it because that place is disgusting, and I put it on a hook, and I caught a fish. But Cheryl Gage, did I miss the chat? All right, let me get some of the tips in the Rumble section and see what's going on in the chat over here. I like monkey fruit. Oh, monkey fruit sweetener. I think you mean monk fruit sweetener. Humperdew 5024. I found at least monk fruit. It doesn't taste as good. It has a bit of a bitter aftertaste, but it doesn't upset my stomach. Aspartame upsets my stomach. Sucralose really upsets my stomach. Stevia doesn't as much, but I don't like this aftertaste of stevia. SVeal123 says, Viva, you just have to go back to basics. Coffee, espresso, tea, or yerba mate. Yeah, the yerba mate also upsets my stomach. I got very sensitive. They call it the neurotic stomach. Let me go up here and see Michael Barnes. Who is that? Come on, you can imagine how many names Bannon has to deal with on any given day. Okay, now I got just a few minutes left, and we're the locals. We're going to do something good. It'll be later, but I have to go and go back to being a professional chauffeur. Let me see what's going on in the chat over here. I think we covered everything that we were going to cover in terms of stories for today. Let me see here. We're going to have an amazing Sunday show, by the way. Alex Jones. No, we got that. Garland versus Cargill. No, we got that. That was the decision. 1775 coffee and Constitution 101 at Hillsdale. We got that. Okay, we did it. People, we did it. We had a great show. Sorry, it's going to be a short one today, but it was fantastic. Let me go to the chat on Rumble. And then we got fart in the house. Nice. Let me just go ahead and, if you do that a second time, block you forever. Viva should do a Sandy Hook episode on Rumble. Bet he changes his mind. Scott Halloween, I mean, I don't know what you mean by that, but I've had discussions with a lot of people, and that's it. Okay, fart. Now you're gone forever. Goodbye, fart. The Nats are waiting for you, says P11B30. Let's see what we got here. We got good stream, says GS. Thanks, David Janeway. Okay. Mike Yadoni. Hold on, what's going on here? Okay, I'm going up. Going up here. He has all the key attributes: axe to grind, skin on the wall, loyal to Trump, and best of all, keep the demonstrators at bay. Bannon for VP. My pick for VP, I put a little, I went to predicted, man. This is why I can't gamble. It's terrible. I put a little on Vivek Ramaswamy, and I put the rest on JD Vance. That was a VD. DJ Vance on JD Vance. Bill Tong, thank you very much. Try monk fruit sweetener, closest to real sugar flavor I found, says Dana36G. Stevia, you can grow it in a pot, and it is super sweet. Calamity Sue, this is the other thing. I don't want my drinks to taste sweet. I would take a Red Bull if it were as quarter the sweetness with real sugar. They're too freaking sweet. This, what did I have here? I don't know what was in this freaking Hello Kitty. It's too sweet. Why? This is going to be my stand-up bit. How sweet does it have to be? It's too damn sweet. I don't want to. I don't like it. Just if it had like they have those drinks. They're called. They're like 12 calories a drink, and it's just there's a little bit of sugar in it. They sell them at everywhere, but then as I get them all, they're good. That's all you need. 1 gram, 2 grams of sugar. That's all I need. Carbonation and caffeine. All right, look, nobody cares about my problems anymore. Okay. Viva, did you see the interview? Did you secure an interview with Steve Bannon, Roostang? No, not yet, but I'm going to politely ping. I'm like the worst when it comes to this because I don't want to be annoying and I don't want to put pressure on people when I know that they're already going through stuff. But I put as much polite pinging as I can. Roostang, so we'll see about that. Let's just go to the non-tipped questions or stuff in locals. Blonde roast black coffee. Gift to the sweet shtick. JD Vance is a senator. The Donald won't make that mistake again. Mr. Mike. Maybe I should sell my. I'm up on my futures of JD Vance, but no, I'm sticking with JD Vance. Vivek Ramaswamy. We got a special Sov says Gavin Newsom talks a lot of shit. He certainly does. Oh God, Grobert will be relieved that it was a short show. LOL. Oh, because 6 o'clock. Well, you got Gouveia is coming live at 6. You got late Freeform Friday, or you got the Eric Hunley and Mark Robert. And it's not Father's Day tomorrow, is it? Happy Father's Day tomorrow, says T. Lee 1776. Hold on, when is Father's Day? Google? Not Boogle. Google. When is Father's Day? Okay, it's Sunday. Holy crap. We'll see if my kids remember. Everybody, excuse me, what do you got here? Gomer Sups uses erythritol as a sweetener. Might be something to look into. It has a bit to look into, but it has caffeine. Well, that would be a good thing. Last Sunday, so it's this Sunday. No, it's this Sunday, Cheryl Gage. And let's see, it's too late to get to the post office, so hopefully they're open tomorrow. Okay, so I'm going to go now. A professional chauffeur is being summoned. Let me see here. Yes, I am. Okay. Everybody, thank you very much. I might put out a short car vlog summary of the decision as well, the Supreme Court one. And before I go, and I'm going to look to YouTube for this. No, I'm going to look to Rumble for this. Did I get the description of the bump stock accurate? Because that's how I think I understood it. From Gouveia was on early today's segment, early up. Okay, says Dog Digger. All right, then go listen to Grobert and Eric Hunley Freeform Friday. Have a good weekend, says Andy Virginer. Viva Based. Nice, says Liberty Starman. Did I get the description of bump stock and how it works properly? Because now I had the good idea. Essentially, says Faithless. Okay, it's good enough. Enjoy Father's Day, you motherfucker, says Woody. All right, go. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything in our locals community. Locals, stay tuned for maybe a little Viva Live fishing later on. T. Lee 1776 says, yes, going shooting now. Enjoy Janice TR. Have a good evening, everyone. Happy Father's Day. Oh, we're gonna do a show anyhow. So we'll do a show anyhow. Have a good evening, everyone. You got that? Okay, boom, bada bing, bada boom. Yeah, okay. Oh, look at that paracleric trikey. Go to a gun range and take a class, Sophia Agape. I want to. I'm gonna ping Dave Rubin, see when he's going back. I need company. That's not something I should do alone for the first time. Okay, done. Everybody, thank you. Go enjoy the night. Stay tuned for a vlog. Eric Hunley, Mark Robert. If Robert Gouveia is not up, who else? And look, you guys know where to go to get your law stuffs. Thank you for being here. Think about subscribing at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Become a supporting member. $10 a month or $100 for a whole year if you get it all at once. Tons of exclusive stuff. Merch, Viva Fry. More important than anything, just share. Share it with people who you think would be offended by what I have to say. Because if they're offended by the truth and knowledge, they need to be offended. Go enjoy the day. Peace be with you.